Intermittent fasting. I get a lot of questions from people at RX Healthy Habits saying, is it right for me? And I don't know. I like to weigh in on that and see if this would be a good thing for you. That's always, of course, your decision. We're going to go through though, and we're going to cover some things I think are going to help you with that decision. And that is this: I want to talk about what intermittent fasting is. I want to talk about how it works, and I'm going to talk about 5 pros and 5 cons, and try to get it done in 10 minutes or less, because I hate long videos. Also, if you want a deeper dive, it's all on my blog, where there's many studies that I listed in there that's going to really help you decide if this is the right path for you. So real quick, what is intermittent fasting? Well, it's simply nothing more than a pattern of eating. It's not necessarily a diet. It involves more alternate periods of fasting and eating over a specific time window. The window varies. A lot of people have different approaches they take. The typical one that I see is one that's a 16 and 8. So you eat for 8 hours during that window, and you fast for 16. There's another one called the 5 and 2 that for 2 non-consecutive days, 24 hours, you don't eat at all, and you eat on the other days. So I'm going to go through and talk about how does it work, because this is kind of like the thing that people don't understand about intermittent fasting, that it's kind of common sense once you hear about it. But during the fasting range, which is typically 12 to 16 hours or longer, the body finally exhausts all of its stores of glucose, and it's starting to pull on the stores of fat in your body. And when it starts pulling the fat out, when it starts going to the fat cells for energy, that's where the fat loss is going to take place. So by limiting that window also, what's kind of nice is it keeps people from doing increasing their caloric intake from kind of like mindless eating, like snacking. So if you stay within that 8 hours, you're not able to do any snacking, alcohol, or anything else that can increase your total caloric intake for the day. So the flexibility is kind of nice. It's not so much what you eat, but when you eat it with intermittent fasting. So advantages, there's 5. There's more. I'm going to talk about 5 because I want to get through this. I don't like long videos. I hope you're the same way. I like to keep it short. Simplicity and convenience. It's very simple. No counting calories, no restrictive diets, no eliminate food groups. It focuses on, again, when you eat rather than what you eat. And it really could go around your lifestyle if you change the window of when you fast. Although sometimes there's some challenges there, but we'll talk about that under disadvantages. Weight loss and fat burning. Yes, if you follow it, it will lead to weight loss and fat burn. Now, here's the question: how much? And that's going to be variable, and that's a big part of a disadvantage, because during that window of 8 hours when you're eating, some people think, well, I can eat anything. Nope. You cannot go. You can eat different food groups. You can eat some variation of carbs, protein, and fat, but you cannot go over a caloric intake level, which most people understand. Your total energy expenditure throughout the day is your basic metabolic rate, your body at rest, plus your activity. That total energy expenditure level, if you go over that with caloric intake, you're not going to lose weight, you're going to gain weight. Now, but you will lose weight in this diet, not diet, but this eating program, if you follow it and stay within the below the caloric amount that you should be consuming. Improve insulin sensitivity. This is kind of good to know, that it really can help manage blood sugar levels, especially the frequency of meals. I think is the reason why. That's what the scientists think. Insulin production and decrease insulin resistance. So increased production, decreased resistance might be a benefit for type 2. Check with your doctor, of course. Number 4, mental clarity. Yes, so true. I was in fat burn for 3 months, pretty much every week, because I do just the opposite. I eat 5 to 6 times a day, but I do a caloric restriction. So I'm in fat burn most of the time, especially since we reduce the amount of carbs, and fat burn for weeks at a time. And what I found was a mental acuity. The first thing I noticed was a mental acuity. Your aware, just your whole overall level, I guess if you want to call it, of energy is higher. But because your body loves burning its own fat stores, it's the most efficient, the best fuel your body could burn. So increased mental clarity, huge. Potential studies are out there, they're looking at it. Possibly longevity may be increased because of the calorie restriction, because you're only eating within that window. Might be a factor that helps with longevity. More studies need to be done, but interesting. Disadvantage of intermittent fasting. You ready? Of course, most people that do start on this, the first couple weeks are the toughest for them, because that's that initial adaptation phase where they're fasting for 8 hours. They're not used to that. takes a little bit of work. Now, they get hunger, irritability, maybe some low energy levels, dizziness. Some of these things occur, and it's troublesome for some, and they just drop it off. Other ones just say, okay, I just got to give it some time. That's what you should do if you're going to do it. Disrupted social life. Let's say you got a window where you can eat from 11:30 to 7:30, and your friends are going out after work, and they want to have a few beers and some chicken wings. Guess what? You're not going to have the beer. You're going to have water or tea, non-sugary drinks, non-caloric drinks, and no chicken wings because you're in your window of fasting. Same thing, 8:30 to 4:30, if you chose that, or 9 to 5. You're out of your window, you don't eat, all you can do is drink non-alcoholic or non-sugary beverages, just water or tea. So think about that. Make sure you understand that's possibly could be an issue depending on your social life. And also depending on your family situation, a lot of factors. Number 3, potential nutritional imbalance. Imbalance, because you got that 8-hour window to eat. Some people mistakenly think they're going to load up so they're not hungry during the fasting phase for too long. So what they do is they eat the wrong things. But the imbalance could be that you're not eating a lot of whole foods, a lot of fruits, vegetables, and nuts, Mediterranean style diet, ideally, during that time, and you get into a nutritional imbalance. Not good. And some do that. Discomfort or disruption of digestion, big problem for some people. Constipation and or diarrhea. Usually they can have some fluctuations there that some find very disturbing. Anytime you change your eating patterns, you're going to see some of that. And it might regulate out, but just be aware that's a disadvantage. And then this is interesting. Some patients will lose 1 or 2 pounds a week. Other patients won't. And some patients, unbelievably, I know it sounds kind of crazy, they'll gain weight. And they'll go off the whole idea of intermittent fasting. Now, why is that? It's because obviously the people that tend to lose weight stayed below their caloric intake. The ones who didn't went over it. So when you eat is important, but what you eat, you can't ignore that. So my conclusion is this. I would say because it's refreshing, really flexible approach to weight loss and overall well-being, and it's simple, it's got a good potential use for somebody who wants to choose this as a method. I'm going to say it's an enticing option because you don't have to do any restrictions, counting, anything like that. You're just changing when you eat, and what you eat as far as how many calories. But it's crucial to be aware of the potential challenges, especially the initial phase, the adaptation phase in the beginning, the social implications of when you can be in that fast window. Does that interfere with family, with work, with social? That's a big factor for a lot of people. I mean, they go out and they want to celebrate and they can't. And they break their intermittent fast. And then here's the thing, just like any other weight loss or weight control, if you do a lot of cheat days or you do the indulgences all the time, you're not going to lose weight over time because you have to stay consistent in order to lose 1 to 2 pounds a week. You really do. It's not a one-size-fits-all solution. And I think one of the things you want to consider is, what is your goals? How quick do you want to get there? And you got to really listen to your body during the whole time to see how it's going. There's some restrictions. It's not for everybody. Pregnant women, obviously, definitely not. People with eating disorders, probably not, because of binge eating that can occur during that window. Type 1 diabetics, definitely not. There's some others. You can read about that in some of the articles that I have where there's some contraindications. And as always check with your doc before you start, your healthcare provider, before you start any weight loss program. So the studies that I have in my blog that's on RxHealthyHabits.com is absolutely incredible to go through and gives you some really good information to make your decision, because it is your decision. And some of the patients of mine that have done it have had results. Other patients have not, just like anything else. 80% of the weight loss programs out there, within 5 years, people gain the weight back because they go back to their habits. And I got to tell you, of all the things that I've seen people do, the biggest mistake they make is they do not look at that total energy expenditure of what their body, the basic metabolic rate, their body at rest, plus the physical activity level equal their total energy expenditure. They don't look at doing more physical activity. In addition to eating wrong, if they ate the same but didn't do activity, their weight would probably stay the same or go up. So I'm going to tell you that's a key factor. Now, out of the 5 studies, you can read them all. Some are from Johns Hopkins, some are from NIH, some from the American Heart Association. So I chose some critical resources that I believe as a pharmacist you should be looking at to make your decision. And some of them have some really good information. It's going to help you. The last one in there is one that I really like. It's from Pharmacy Times. Being a pharmacist, I'm a little bit biased. But these guys really do a good job of doing a summation of what's out there and say, look, overall, calorie restriction still is the game. Okay? Eat less, move more. So I hope that information helps, and I hope this video podcast is going to help you on your journey that you're going for to get healthier, get stronger, and also to eat smarter. So until next video podcast.